And it is 1 minute after 9. So Ann, do you want to go ahead and start the stream?
Yeah, I'm doing that right now.
Okay.
We're live on
Okay,
YouTube.
thank you. Morning, everyone, and welcome to the Frederick County Delegation weekly meeting. We typically begin our meetings with a pledge of allegiance. So please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The review of the minutes of the meeting of February 4th, 2022. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
I got a couple, or at least two corrective things.
Okay, let's get a motion in a second, then we can discuss.
Move to approve.
Okay, motion. Second. Okay, go ahead, Senator Huff.
Okay, so if you look at Delegate Ciliberti moves to the next order of business, it talks about the sheriff vote. It says the motion fails. It should list the vote because you list the vote later on. It fails by a vote of 4-3. I would also suggest listing the votes. I think that's good transparency, how people voted on these motions. And then later down the line, Senator Young moves to table indefinitely. Lewis Young seconds. A vote of 4-1. My understanding is the vote was 4-2.
If I can ask Ann. Ann, did you go back and rewatch the tape and do you have a?
I did, but I can go back again and make corrections.
Delegate Cox.
I just also wanted to point out some typos. At the beginning, when it notes the quorum, I think it says something like, my name is misspelled. And then immediately thereafter, it calls the Honorable David Morgan a delegate. So I just wanted to point that out.
Are you getting this? Any other discussion on the minutes? What would be the delegation's pleasure, since we do have some discrepancies in the minutes? Should we hold off on approving them until we next meet, or are you? That would probably be the easiest thing to do. So we can double check the count for Senator Huff.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's just hold off till next week.
Okay, without objection, we will table the minutes for now. I also wanted to point out that Delegate Ciliberti contacted me last night and asked me to chair the meeting as he was not feeling well. Moving on with our agenda, really the only thing we have to discuss today of substance is the liquor bill that has been in edit form recently. So Dawn Sugars is here with us this morning. And Dawn, will you please explain where we are with this bill?
Thank you, Delegate Kerr. We were looking at, as we were discussing last week, that the bill would need some sort of amendment. The bill had already dropped, according to Senator Young. And the amendment, once we got an opinion from Sandra Brantley, is that we could not require a residency for Frederick County or for Maryland. But when we asked her, could we require a resident agent remain in the state and on the in the license file, so that we would have someone to be able to serve papers on, to have contact with for the organization, she did say that that was allowable. So we went back through the bill and just simply changed out the words of the residency to a resident agent. And if that is agreeable by the delegation, we would like to move forward with that amendment.
Discussion, Senator Young?
I don't have a problem with that, except if she said it couldn't be from Frederick or Maryland, a resident, what's the definition of a resident? They're either living in Frederick or in Maryland.
It's a resident agent. What happens is business and organizations will assign a resident agent. A lot of time it is their attorney or it is their someone in the state that would accept service of their papers.
Okay.
So that's the difference of a resident agent versus a residency.
I got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Dawn? Delegate Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So my understanding was that the Attorney General's office did not give us an actual opinion. It was just a one-line sentence. Is that fair?
Is that directed to me, Delegate Cox?
I'm sorry. Yes, Ms. Sugars.
I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I don't want to step in and answer for anyone. She did give us and reference back to, as Senator Huff had referenced in our original meeting in December, to the case that was out of Harford County. She's referring back to that as the residency requirement being unconstitutional. So that's the opinion that she's leaning on. And yes, she did just give the one sentence answer.
So I think that's entirely devoid of substance. I think that we shouldn't depend upon that one sentence to make a judgment for our county for so many licenses. But that's just a concern that I had. I would like to see a little more substance to the analysis, but that's just my opinion. So, but thank you.
Delegate Cox, are you requesting additional information before we move ahead with this?
I'll leave it up to the delegation what they'd like to do. It's not something I'm going to support.
But so I'm trying to remember, to be honest, it seems like ancient history now when we discuss this. It was relied on, there was a court case, was there not? So there, I think the AG is just relying, and that may help Delegate Cox being a lawyer. I honestly do not remember much of the specifics, but I remember there was a court case. Do we have it, what the court case was? Yeah,
David, Mr. Morgan.
that's right. We have an attorney here. David, maybe you could explain the court case and how this all worked, because I just quite frankly don't remember.
Well, so I gave the case a skim, and what she's referencing is an opinion regarding the Harford County bill, and the case that's referenced is Tennessee Wine and Spirits Retailers Association v. Thomas, which was a Supreme Court case, which basically found, I mean, this is a very high level view, but basically found that residency requirements were violative of the Dormant Commerce Clause. And I think, and in the minutes, or I'm sorry, in the agenda did include a reference to and a link to this opinion that was sent out last night. But Delegate Cox, I'd be happy to send another copy your way. But it's the opinion of the Attorney General that was made with regard to Harford County licenses. And in that opinion, and this was an opinion of May 4th of 2021, that Supreme Court case is referenced. So
there is a link. I appreciate that, Mr. Morgan. I'm looking here for the link and I don't see it. Maybe I'm missing something. And you're saying they were citing a U.S. Supreme Court case and not a Maryland Harford County case. They're citing Tennessee. I don't see that here. I would like to see it, but I'll certainly take your word for it. I think that my concern is that maybe Ms. Sugars can explain, and I don't want to belabor this, but maybe I'm having trouble as well remembering why the urgency to make such a big change. If maybe Ms. Sugars could explain that again.
Can you explain why this change is needed?
This change was requested through our local council, who said that we were unconstitutionally requiring residents for Frederick County and for Maryland. So we were following suit with that recommendation from our local county attorney, and we were bringing it forward for the delegation to consider. And we are hearing across the state, Delegate Cox, the concern for residency and instituting whether someone could come back with a lawsuit to sue us for that residency requirement. So we are just erring on the side of due caution that we do not want a lawsuit in Frederick County for requiring this. And we were just following the suit and recommendation of our local county attorney, and also with our groups on other counties across the state of Maryland.
Did the county attorney indicate there was a letter, a demand letter or a threat from any particular entity?
There is no indication of that.
Okay, so I just found an email, but I don't see the link to the Tennessee case.
David Morgan just sent it to you in
Okay,
Link.
I didn't send the link, but I will find the link, and because I have a printed copy here, and I will find the link and I will send that to you today, Delegate.
okay, yeah, I don't see it in my inbox. So thank you, Mr. Morgan. I appreciate that. I would say if we can table this until we can study this a little more, that would be helpful.
Thank you, Delegate Cox. Delegate Lewis Young.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In reference to Delegate Cox's comment about being reluctant to move forward based on a one-sentence reference from the AG, I'd just like to recommend that we be consistent in our approach to that. If you will recall, just last week, we made the golf cart decision based on a one-sentence reference from the AG's office. In fact, the county exec asked to see a more full-fledged opinion, but we moved ahead nevertheless. So I would just like to recommend that we be consistent in that approach. Thank you.
Senator Huff.
So just a question for the county, Dawn. You all are probably not even enforcing this anymore, are you? Even though it's on the books, right?
That is accurate.
Yeah, I found that. I've learned that from a couple of years on JPR. You pick those things up. If something's deemed unconstitutional, you guys don't even enforce it anymore. So it sounds like, I mean, whether we change the law or not, it's not going to change what you all are going to do, because you're going to follow the AG guidance on this. So I don't mind holding it for a week. I don't think it's that big impactful, but if people want to vote now, they can. I mean, it is a little bit different than the golf cart. I mean, I'm looking right now, it's a pretty lengthy decision and what the AG sent, but my quick reading of it too, it does say, it backs up, and David, feel free to chime in, that the Supreme Court found these kind of measures to be protectionist and violating of the Constitution. This is on page 87 of, I guess it's a pretty lengthy Attorney General opinion they did, but I don't mind if people need another week to look that over. It's a little bit more complicated than enabling legislation for golf carts, but I don't think it's, my take is I don't think it's that impactful, because I think they just want this change so it reflects what they're doing. But whether we pass this or not, they're not going to do it anyways, because they're going to follow AG opinion. And that's happened. We do that pretty frequently. I've noticed with criminal laws and things, when they're ruled unconstitutional, they still stay on our books. They're just not enforced.
Thank you, Senator Huff. We need 5 votes to move this forward. Delegate Cox has indicated that he's in opposition at this point. Does that remain true, Delegate Cox?
Well, yeah, I think I need to see. I mean, I'm looking in my email box, and I probably just maybe it came to the wrong box. I just can't find either the AG opinion or the Tennessee case. Having a little bit of knowledge of the Dormant Commerce Clause litigation aspect, it's a highly complex litigation aspect of the Constitution. It's very, very complex and very rare. The Supreme Court handles those very lightly, gives great deference to the states and localities. So I just like to read it before. I'm certainly, I agree with Senator Huff. It's probably what is already happening, and certainly before voting on this and putting it into law, I think it would be nice if I could at least review what the liquor board has in its possession in terms of those decisions, if I could.
Get them.
Okay, thank you. Senator Young?
Thank you. I would have no trouble voting for it because I think we need to do it. But if we don't have 5 votes, there's no point in continuing it. I move we delay it till next week.
David Morgan, do you have something to add here?
I was just going to say, for the purposes of amendments, it's generally better to have an amendment written out that has been sent out to the public to look at and sent out to the members of the delegation to look at before voting. I mean, it's not sometimes kind of just amendments in theory are voted on, but best practice is to have an amendment. And I can certainly draft that up before next week's meeting and share it with the delegation. And that will give Delegate Cox time to read the opinion as well.
I second Senator Young's motion so we can move on because I only have, as you all know, unfortunately till 9:30 when my committee is going to vote. So we can move on if there's anything else we need to vote on. Delegate Cox, it's a May 4th, 2021 opinion. And it's pretty lengthy. My office just sent it to you again, so. But I would second Senator Young's motion just to table this.
Senator Young, was that your motion to table?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of tabling this until next week, say aye.
All right.
Okay, motion carries. Dawn, looks like we get to visit with you one more week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, before we let you go, is there anything else we need to discuss with the liquor bills? This is the last remaining issue. Okay, thank you. Good to see you, and we'll see you again next week. We just have a few items of new business coming up. We had voted that we were interested in hearing from DLS policy analyst on state aid. That's scheduled for the 25th. We've also been requested by some of our federal delegation that they have an opportunity to meet with us. We're working on scheduling that. And I wanted to point out that Student Advocacy Day is next Tuesday. They're aware that our schedules are in constant flux, and we may not all have a chance to visit with the students from Frederick Community College, but we've sent you a Zoom link and a block of time. If you can drop in and say hello to the students, that would be much appreciated by them. Senator Young, your hand's still up.
I'll take it down, but I'll make, being called on me, I'll make a quick comment on the legislation in general. Senator Huff and I won't be here next year, but a comment was made about we shouldn't drop these local bills until everybody agrees on them. Well, we have to because of the deadline. It's very important we drop the bills so that they're there, because if we don't, we can't deal with them. We can always withdraw them if the group doesn't like them, but it's a necessity to get them in.
Yes, and thanks for bringing that up. David, when you draft this amendment, we had a situation yesterday where Delegate Siliberti was not feeling well, but he did drive to Annapolis to drop the delegation bills, but one was misplaced and didn't make it into the pile before he left to go home. So I did drop it, but I had to drop it in my own name. So David, can you amend that back to a delegation bill?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, what I'll do is when I draft up the amendment with the resident agent bit, I'll just put the sponsor change in there as well, just so it's all wrapped up nicely in one.
Anyone else in attendance have any of the delegation have any additional comments to make before we open it up to the county officials?
I'd like to do an FYI for the delegation on a bill that isn't technically a delegation bill, but it affects Frederick County only. It is cross-filed by Senator Huff. It's called AOT, or outplacement assistant treatment. It is based on the mental health crisis that we are facing, and so many people who have severe mental illness and can't get treated because they don't qualify under the state's rather ambiguous definition of dangerousness. The concept was brought to me by the senior person in the Frederick County Public Health Department, who was looking at an experimental program in Baltimore. And this bill would require state authorization, but the recommendation of the bill is to test the concept in Frederick County. So since it will be unique to Frederick County, I just wanted to give the delegation a heads up so that you would be familiar with it once the hearing takes place.
Thank you, Delegate Lewis Young. Any other comments from the delegation? Joy Schaefer, Council President Keegan Ayer, do you have anything to share with us this morning?
Nope, but thanks for asking.
Same with you, Joy?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, good. Well, good to see you both. I don't believe anyone has requested to speak to us from the public today. Okay, thank you. Any other business before we close? Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Senator Huff motions, Senator Young second. Okay, I don't believe we need to vote on a motion to adjourn since it's been moved and seconded, but I assume it's unanimous. And thank you everyone for coming this morning, and we will see you soon.